This girl right here, suspiciously thirsty. Also, gym battles are back, baby! Well, somewhat.
Pokemon Ranger, I choose you!
What's up, my dear boys and girls, it's your Ranger Boy here, and welcome to another review of Pokemon Horizons. We finally have reached the double-digit number episode, and with that, we not only get their very first T4 challenge Nemona, but also the marvelous Brassius, and the return of gym battles after more than 6 years of absence. Kinda. Wanna know more? Then grab some popcorn, grab some cookies, and let's do this. Together with our heroes, we arrive at Artisan Town, and as soon as they arrive, we are welcomed by several grass-type Pokemon, including the adorable Gen 9 original Smoliv. And while we enjoy the sightseeing tour, the anime then makes a quick cut to one of the main focuses of the episode, Gym Leader Brassius, behaving very eccentric while standing, in front of a huge Rayquaza statue? What the hell is going on here? I guess the rumors are true, and Brassius did see the legendary Pokemon, and it also seems like it was burned in his memories. Same case, of course, with Roy, after seeing Rayquaza for the very first time, which naturally is the reason why he's still in search for the Pokemon, but sadly with no success in sight. Suddenly, the two main characters hear somebody screaming, "Go Nemo!" from the distance, which especially made Liko stop in her tracks, and soon we encounter Energetic Girl and the prime waifu of Gen 9, Nemona, easily pummeling some newbie trainers with her pommel. Although Roy seems to be really impressed by the display of battling skills, do you know who loves battling even more than Roy? Nemona! Because as soon as she sees both protagonists, she insists on both of them to battle her right here, right now. But, probably to the dismay of the new girl, both trainers neglect the offer, since their main priority is to find Brassius, and at first, Nemona gladly takes them to his atelier. But then, she starts talking about his status as a gym leader, which led to talking about reaching the champion ranks, which ultimately led to Nemo basically trying to recruit both Liko and Roy, so that they can take on the gym challenges, so that in the end, Nemo has more people she can battle with. God damn, just give her some fresh meat already, because that girl is starving and she's thirsty. Because of her name, the mention of the champion rank, and also probably thanks to her obsessive behavior in regards of battling, Liko suddenly realizes that the girl that stands in front of her is indeed that Nemo, aka one of the strongest and most famous trainers in Paldea, and quickly enough, she gets flustered by the celebrity, which is good and all, but Nemo should really take her filthy hands off of Liko, or else she might infect her with her crazed behavior, which, let's be honest here, if Ash was there, he would have probably loved it, and he also could have had an actual likable and strong rival in Nemo. Why didn't they do that? Probably would have been really fun to watch. Oh yeah, I remember again, because Journeys is fucking awful. Well, Ash is in the past, let's focus on the here and now. Nemona is actually here for a reason. She wanted to check on her friend Brassius since his gym has been closed for a while, and therefore she now tries to find an answer. But let's be real here, we know exactly why she's here.
What is it?
I'm not sure. I feel a disturbance.
Okay, maybe that's a little bit mean on my end, since she even made the effort of gathering up Sunfloras together with the locals to cheer him up. Speaking of the artist, we suddenly hear some loud noises, and shortly after, we see Gym Leader Brassius seemingly being displeased by something. By the way, as soon as I heard his voice, well, it sounded very familiar. And then, I looked it up.
アレックスさんの娘が訪れるとは実にアバンギャルド急潮流アシュラバッキー
Oh my god! Roronoa Zoro in the Pokemon anime? My mind is blown! And despite Brassius looking like he encountered some sort of dragon, he seems to feel quite well. On the opposite side of the coin, Liko doesn't seem to feel quite as well, since she's nervous, especially after the eccentric artist approaches her a little bit too up close, after hearing that she's the daughter of Alex, aka one of his good friends, and also a fellow artist. And by the way, Liko doing this face right here, splendid meme material. I soon realized that he has the voice of a badass, but the characteristics of is this just Sycamore in disguise? Because if something really pleases him, he shouts out "Avant-garde!" as an expression of overwhelming happiness, which Sycamore also often did with his marvelous. And avant-garde is also a French term, and Sycamore is from France. Nah, I'm thinking way too much into this, and it's probably just because he's an artist and I guess any poker thinks that art has to be French. But hey, at least he showcases the same enthusiasm for his craft like the Carlos professor did in the past, since he believes that if done with love and passion, a sole artistic imitation can be even better and realer than the original one. And his partner Dolph reaffirms that belief by splooging oil all over poor Pomo. And even after Sprigatito calmed Dolph down, it expresses its happiness by splashing oil all over Pomo again. Stop the suffering! But now it's Brassius' turn to do the suffering. As soon as Roy utters the word Black Rayquaza, he immediately expresses terror and fear, leaves the room, and in general seems to be suffering from some sort of trauma. Not sure what to do, our main characters seem to be at loss for words, until Liko finds a broken piece of art, and thanks to her connection with her dad, she rightfully makes the conclusion that Brassius seems to be stuck in some sort of artistic slump, aka he's creatively stuck and can't seem to find a way out of it. So therefore, our gang try their absolute best to help out the locals to gather up more sunfloras to brighten up his mood. And seeing how everybody in the town gave their all to cheer him up, Brassius finally decides to share what happened to him. While working on his own Rayquaza project based and inspired by the art books of Liko's dad, one night he suddenly encountered the real one, and both stunned but also terrified by the true Rayquaza, the artist lost all hope to ever recreate the real thing through his art, and since then he's been stuck in a loop of desperation and hopelessness, and especially Liko seems to emphasize with his suffering. But then, our boy Roy, after hearing how much the legendary Pokemon invoked terror into the strong trainer, he's like, oh my god, Rayquaza really is cool! And Brassius is all like, what the fuck? Did you just not listen to my whole suffering story? And Roy responds that question with, by the way, your Rayquaza is just as good as the real one. But now I have no time for you because I want to go to the forest and chase down Rayquaza. Yay! Of course, Brassius is really confused about Roy's sheer disregard on everything he said about Rayquaza, so he asks the boy why exactly he's chasing such a dangerous Pokemon. And with Roy explaining that Rayquaza was his first step of becoming a Pokemon trainer and adventurer, the normally depressed looking artist can't help but smile by this childish naivety of Roy, and therefore he decides to test Roy's strength in form of a gym battle! It's back! It's back after 6 years of absence, baby! Okay, not really, because it was more of a gym battle exhibition rather than the real deal. But anyway, we are entering a universe now in which Sycamore would be a gym leader, including very marvelously entering the battlefield. And even though he's facing up against his very first gym leader, Roy's childish naivety shows once again. While Liko knew instantly what Brassius' Pokemon Sudowoodo's type really was, Roy falsely assumed that the Pokemon is a grass type, and as a result of that, his first attack didn't have any kind of effect on the gym leader's Pokemon. And in contrast, Sudowoodo already landed a devastating and successful rock throw on the Fire Croc. Sadly, his other attack choice besides Ember is Tackle, but then after his opponent used Substitute, he has no strategy in mind at all and instead just hits one substitute after another with the belief that if I just hit enough, sooner or later I will find the real one. His non-existence of tactics reached a climax with not even his own Pokemon listening to his quote-unquote strategy after Brassius' ace used Taunt. Disappointed by this display, the gym leader asked him what Roy should be observing right now, and Roy still just concentrates on finding the real Sudowoodo. With this letdown of an answer, Brassius now teaches him a lesson, which is to closely observe your own Pokemon first, and not your opponent. And seeing how angry Fuecoco gets, Roy just uses his Pokemon's anger, and out of sheer dumb luck, his Pokemon learns a new move, Stomping Tantrum, which not only causes the substitute to disappear, but he also lands a hit. But Brassius doesn't seem to be fazed by this sudden change at all, and even applauds him for indeed having an innate talent as a Pokemon trainer. So to pay him some respect, he just shows a glimpse of his true power, and therefore the new main mechanic, the Terra Phenomena, turning what looks like a grass type into an actual grass type, therefore really suiting the theme of the gym leader's art. Realizing that Sudowoodo is now a grass type, Roy wastes no time to fire an Ember attack at him. But with such a predictable attack, Brassius has no problem dodging it, and with just one attack, Roy loses the match. Even though he didn't earn a badge, Roy still learned a lot from the gym leader and thanks him for the lesson. Also, Nemo explaining the Terra mechanic to the kids was also really helpful. But I guess as a reward for the effort displayed by Roy, Brassius reveals another secret in regards of Rayquaza. Not only did he encounter it, but he did so while being in the forest of Arbolova, aka the final evolution of Smoliv and the guardian of the forest. And after Rayquaza appeared, there seems to be some sort of strange connection between Rayquaza and Arboliva, since the Forest Guardian started to shine and glitter after encountering the legendary Pokemon. And while the others just looked at the statue, Liko senses some sort of sadness emanating from Brassius' sculpture, and with that in mind, Liko and Roy now have the Arboliva Forest as their next destination. So that's the episode, and just from the script alone, I can already tell that this will be at least plus 10 minutes long. God damn it. So let's do the impressions. Just like always, I will point out both the goods and the bads, and trust me, there was one big negative in this episode that we will talk about in just a few minutes, but luckily the good things really overshadowed the one negative aspect in this episode. Positive number 1, Nemona. First of all, I was pleasantly surprised of how they showcased her in this episode, because they barely gave her any screen time. At maximum, she received about 5 minutes of showcase, and that really caught me off guard, because if you looked at the fanbase throughout the last few weeks, by the time this episode was announced, most people were only looking forward to Nemo. She is a very popular character within Gen 9. She's also a well-established and relevant character in the Scarlet Violet games, and of course, the waifu factor does also play a role. So therefore, I was more than surprised that the anime basically bamboozled us by giving the popular character only 5 minutes at max, while the not so popular character Brassius received the remaining 15 minutes. And somehow, even though she only had a limited amount of screen time, they were able to really characterize her thanks to interactions with the main characters, with her constantly being driven by her thirst for battle, trying to provoke both Liko and Roy to battle her as soon as they made eye contact, and even going so far to encourage them to take on gym challenges so that she can battle them for the champion ranks. Furthermore, thanks to Liko originating from Paldea, she knew who Nemo was, and therefore immediately establishing her as a big deal, since she's known for her strength and her status within the Paldea system. And in my opinion, the anime limiting the screen time of Nemo was done on purpose so that they can keep stuff like Nemo's background, the school system, and Paldea's champion system as a whole for later down the road, and maybe even for a future story arc. So you could say that Nemo's introduction wasn't really the real deal, but just a little preview or appetizer of what is to come for the near distant future. Positive number 2, Brassius. And as surprising as it was that he received more screen time than Nemo, he instantly became one of my favorite characters in the Horizon anime. His mannerisms and gestures instantly reminded me of Professor Sycamore. I loved his overall philosophy that imitation art potentially being better than even the original if a person puts enough effort and passion into the project. I liked how they displayed his overall trauma after encountering Rayquaza, and how he then was stuck in an artistic slump as a result of that encounter, only to be waken up by Roy's display of childish naivety, and then switching from the desperate artist to the gym leader of Artisan Town, who is brimming with energy. And last but not least, I love the display of the gym leader. Not only very powerful and clinical, which gave Roy no chance at all, but also just like every other gym leader in the past, trying to teach his challengers a valuable lesson for their future journey. This right here is one of the reasons we love gym battles, and also one of the reasons that we as fans miss them so much. Sure, it was not the real deal per se, but I do hope that we will get more like this, but in the real gym format in Horizons as well. Positive number 3, the quote-unquote gym battle. I overall really liked how they structured this one, constantly showcasing how immature and inexperienced Roy is, with him only trying to press forward without any tactics in mind, while Brassius had the battle under control the entire time, while also trying to teach Roy a lesson. And even when Roy landed a hit, he didn't even notice that and just smoothly transitioned to the Terra mechanic and quickly finishing the job. To be honest though, I would have preferred for Roy to not hit another attack out of sheer dumb luck, since it comes off as kinda cheap, just like back then against Zia and his Rhydon. Anyway, in terms of main mechanic being showcased in the anime, this is finally one mechanic that can be a true successor of Mega Evolution during the XY days, in terms of animation, quick movements, and overall action. The main problem I always had with both Sun and Moon's Z moves and Sword and Shield's Dynamax system is that both felt very static and basically made the match slower, and in regards of Dynamax, even had very underwhelming animation. But with Terra, we have something that allows for the transformed Pokemon to also move quickly and showcase the style of the trainer, like we have seen with Sudowoodo, and how he was able to move rapidly while in this transformed state, just like Mega Evolution did back then. So, while especially Dynamax was something that just didn't really work in the anime thanks to its slow nature, Terra eliminates that slow movement from the past and allows for some fast-paced action, which we as anime-poke fans love. Positive number 4, Liko. Like always, she's still a great character with a lot of variety, and she once again shined. I adored her reactions when she realized that she's talking to a celebrity like Nemona, and her other really funny facials every time she interacted with Brassius. Then they showcased her smart side with her discovering broken art pieces, and thanks to that and her previous experience with her dad also being an artist, she came to the conclusion that Brassius was getting stuck artistically, and therefore she tried her best to cheer him up. Thanks to analyzing Sprigatito's favorite sunbathing spots, she also found way more sunfloras than both Nemo and Roy. Then of course, unlike Roy, she knew about Sudowoodo's real Pokemon type, and even after Brassius activated the Terra phenomenon, she instantly recognized it as well. Last but not least, her overall showcase of empathy was great. Like for example, how she felt really sad about the artist being stuck in a slump, or how as soon as she saw a Bolivar sculpture, she felt sadness emanating from it. So in short, Liko is still awesome. But now, let's talk about the huge negative, which is Roy. I'm really sorry if I come off a little bit rude, but Roy was absolutely abysmal in this episode. On the one hand, I don't mind his childish naivety during the battle because, like I said before, it showcases his inexperience and that there is potential room for growth. So I didn't really mind that at all, and in actuality, I kinda liked it. But what I absolutely could not stand is how Roy behaved during the reveal of Brassius' encounter with Rayquaza. As soon as Brassius uttered the two words, Black Rayquaza, Roy didn't care about anything at all and was already on his way to chase down the Pokemon. When people like Nemo and Liko were standing there, emphasizing and feeling bad about what the gym leader had to go through and how traumatized he looked, Roy didn't feel bad for Brassius at all and just wanted to search for Rayquaza ASAP while disregarding everything Brassius told them about. On the one hand, this showcase of ignorance, idiocy and naivety was one of the keys to snap Brassius out of his slump, but on the other hand, I would have liked to see Roy showing a little bit more empathy and a little bit more understanding towards the suffering artist. Again, I like Roy, I have nothing against him, but I really do hope that they will improve his writing because man, if this will continue, I will treat Roy like he treated Brassius. I will show zero empathy and instead of concentrating on him, I will just focus on what is more important to me. So in short, despite the small stain that Roy left on this episode, luckily enough, the rest of the episode was overall awesome and I'm looking forward to the next episode already. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed this very long review. What is your opinion? Tell me, and just like always, see you guys in the comments down below. Bye guys!